the chat's going to be open, so please feel free to share any questions or comments in there. And later today, you're going to receive a brief survey. We would really appreciate your feedback on it. And there's also other Love Data Week sessions still going on today, and we'd hope you join us for our in-person open house on Friday as well. So thank you again for being here, and now I will turn it over to Sean Hoffman.
All right. Thanks, Christina. Hello, everybody. Sean Hoffman, Assistant Director for Analytics and Division of Educational and Institutional Effectiveness. I have a few slides, but you all know me. I kind of go off script, so we're gonna go with it. It's Love Data Week. Let's have some fun. So I think the title of this Zoom is something like Swipe Right because Catherine wanted a love themed title for this, but the theme that I've kind of talked about is Rob Miller, Director of Institutional Research, will often walk in and say, "There's a dashboard for that, right?" And I feel like we've gotten to the Apple early advertising where there's an app for that. And so I want to let folks know that on Stony Brook's campus, there's a dashboard for that. Today, we're going to look at public Tableau dashboards that everyone has access to, but this does have some bearing on some of the administrative dashboards that we have behind a firewall that have a little more access for folks who do have access in there. So if you have seen them before, you're not going to. This session is going to also be helpful because we're going to go over basic functionality. We're going to talk about how to answer some of the higher level questions and just remind you what's available and if you want to dig for yourself and figure things out. So our division houses three areas or three offices: institutional research, planning and effectiveness, enterprise data and analytics, and the Office of Educational Effectiveness. You've heard a lot from all those offices this week. At the divisional level, we do have some of these resources on our webpage, and I will show you how to get there when we go to the public-facing Tableau dashboards, but I'll talk about a few of the things that we offer. So we support the university with public-facing Fast Facts page information. We maintain the university factbook through institutional research, planning, and effectiveness. And inside of the factbook is where we host our public Tableau server dashboards. And then, as I mentioned, our division supports other administrative tools like Stony Brook Analytics, which is our Tableau server, and Stony Brook Reporting, which is our Power BI tool. So today we're going to focus on the public dashboards here. They are in the factbook on the dashboards page. There's a direct link here, but I'll show you how to get to it on Google because that's usually how I get there, even though I kind of maintain the page, but that's just how it works. And so I want to talk about some of the questions we can answer before we get into the nitty gritty in there. So publicly available, we can answer all these questions. How many students are enrolled at Stony Brook and what does that look like over time? And if you'll click on the dashboard link here, whenever the slides are posted, you can get back to where we were going. There will be some small tweaks as we go through the website updates and upgrades and over time as we work on our new accessibility guidelines, but these links will work for now. We can answer the question of what are the more popular majors on campus and what additional majors and minors do those students have, which courses have been historically offered and what are their enrollments, what general education SBC courses are offered in which departments and what do enrollments look like, how long do students take to graduate, and what do they earn when they graduate? We're going to talk about a few more things that we can answer when we go through. I may go left and right and zig and zag, but we're going to try to focus on these. And like I said, you can answer all these on the public-facing dashboards. So I'm going to switch over to the website. So, all right, as I mentioned, I do often just Google Stony Brook Factbook, and that will take us to the University Factbook, in which we can jump into, if we wanted to look at, I'm going to take a sidestep here, look at data and reports. We do house a lot of higher level Excel reports here. The Office of Institutional Research Planning and Effectiveness maintains all these. You can download Excel files if you want quick trends on basic university enrollment. You can look at degrees, lots of fun different things in here. But if we were to go back to the Factbook, you'll see there is a dashboard section. That's what we're going to talk about today. From our divisional page, you can access this under other data tools on the University Factbook. You can also see that our analytics offering and our Stony Brook reporting is linked out right here. I'll talk about those briefly at the end, but we're going to talk about public-facing things now that nobody needs to log into. So I'm going to have my questions in the background, and we're going to spend a little time on the first dashboard just talking about basic functionality, and then we'll go through answering all the different questions. Functionality should be the same through all of them, but if I do run across something new, I'll stop and explain it. So before we get into this, our data flows from PeopleSoft nightly into our Stony Brook data warehouse maintained by Enterprise Data and Analytics. And it comes into these dashboards. So you will see mostly things that are official. They are stored and saved and cleaned, and they are our day 15 snapshot or our official degree snapshot. Or if we have externally sourced data like we do in this earnings dashboard, I'll talk about that later. It's noted where that's external. So let me click into this enrollment dashboard, and I want to answer the question of how many students are enrolled at Stony Brook and what does that look like over time. If anyone were to attend Braden's session on Monday, we will know that it all depends on the definition of what we mean by enrollment. And so on all these dashboards, we do have notes. And so it will either have you hover over this little blue question mark, or you can click, and it will talk about what we're looking at here. And so this is distinct headcount enrollment. And you can look at the methodology if you'd like. I'm not going to read it to everybody, but it's there. It's also we've added it as a tab at the end of the dashboard too for folks using screen readers that can't get on this hover. So we're trying to make sure that works, and we're going to make sure that's all working for that. So as you did see, I did just do a little click up here without explaining it. So let me back up. So navigation across this dashboard, as I said, first thing we want to focus on is hovering over the notes, make sure we know what we're talking about. But the tabs are across the top. It's kind of like Excel. They're on the bottom of Excel. They're on the top here. But we can click through different tabs, and we will shortly. There's a little drop down over here that does show what all the tabs are. If there are more and they're kind of cut off, so you can see that notes tab is all the way to the right. We couldn't really see it here, but we can scroll over if we need to. All these dashboards are filterable, and you can see that we'll have filters usually in a box. They're either on the left or across the top, and we can change different things about the dashboard. Right now, we're looking at fall headcount enrollment, but let's say we wanted to look at spring, and I will turn on spring, and we'll say, hey, we're in spring 26. How come that isn't there yet? Well, let me check the notes. So it's for, and I won't have you read it, but it's for the official snapshot. And we haven't taken the official snapshot yet. So spring 26 will show up when the official snapshot has been taken. So I'm just going to go back to fall because I remember that better. And right now, so the first question is, how many students are enrolled at Stony Brook? 27,199 as of the fall. And we can see that that's going up over time. Over the last 10 years. So that's a pretty quick and easy way to answer that question. But we do have lots of other information in here. And what if we change that to ask how many undergraduate students were? We could filter really quickly here and filter in on undergraduates. And then I could immediately go down and say, well, what about applied math and statistics majors? And that was my major, so that's why I'm picking on them. But we can see them here, and we've already got that really pretty quickly. Now, we can't do too much in terms of retrieving information out of here beyond summary counts. But if we had wanted to, say, make a table or a chart like this, there's a couple different options. There's down here, there's a download button, and we could download an image or a crosstab, an image or a PDF of this, which would just take a snapshot of it if you wanted. I mean, you could do a screen clip as well. If you are to clip any of these or bring any of these out, just make sure you keep these notes down here and you source that you got it from either the public the dashboard or wherever you did get it from. But if we wanted to maybe take these numbers here, we could download a crosstab right here, and it would give us an Excel file of just these numbers. So if we didn't want to type all these out, we could copy and paste them into wherever we needed them for whatever we were working on. So as I said, there's lots of different tabs on here. We did answer the main question, but then we sort of start to wander around and think about what we might want to know. We might want to look at something like, what does diversity look like at Stony Brook here? This will give us some breakouts, and we notice that the filters kind of hold here. So let's filter back to everybody, and let's just talk about the other options we can do down here. So I did say that the filter held through here. I'm not quite sure what filtered, and I just want to make sure that I've reset everything to look at Stony Brook as a whole. So down at the bottom left, we have undo buttons, and we have a reset view button. Reset view is the Tableau panic button, and it will just get you back to the main view. I always say, if you're freaking out, don't worry about it. Just reset the view. You didn't break anything. It's only what you're looking at. So now here we can see some trends of this over time. We have lots of fun things in here. We have geographic information about where students are coming from. We can look at things where they came from on Long Island, or we can look at different areas. We have New York, the rest of the US and international information. And then one chart I wanted to point your attention to here is we have a detail chart. And you'll notice that it's got two columns, so column one, column two, which are controlled by these two demographic tabs. So right now it's college and school and full-time, part-time. But what if I wanted to do college and school and tuition residency? Well, if I change this column, the columns in here will change, and now I have a new table. This functionality is available on a few different dashboards. You'll either see it say demographic or it'll say column one, column two, and we'll go through that as we see some more. So that was the first question. We took a look at enrollment at Stony Brook. My next question that I had posed was what are the most popular majors on campus and what additional majors and minors do these students have? This is a newer dashboard to the public-facing dashboards. I think we did it last year, but it's in this majors and minors dashboard right here. And immediately, no surprise, biology is the most popular major on campus, but I think we knew that. But what is interesting about this dashboard is it does kind of focus on what we've been talking about in the strategic plan, which is interdisciplinary and working together and figuring out how things work. And so the initial question or part of this question we posed is, well, of these biology students, what else are they doing? And so if you'll look on dashboards, I often queue on these dashboards what you need to do to find out some other things. So right here it says, click a major below to see additional details to the right. And so this is on some dashboards when I say to do that, if you click on it, so let's click on biology, it will filter the rest of the dashboard. And so now biology majors, well, we have this number of them have one major, we have 144 of two majors, and then we can scroll down and see, oh, of the other majors, it's psychology, some applied math, business, and we can do this for all the majors. So if I unclick this one and maybe I scroll down to chemistry and I want to see what chemistry students look like there, we can click and see their other majors. We can also see what other minors those students have. And we can do this in lots of different ways. So this is just a clickable chart. And I forgot to mention also that it says for trends, hover over this chart or go see the trends tab. So before I go to the trends tab, I will show you that if I hover here, we can see a trend of this over time. But if I wanted the actual numbers without having to hover, I could go to this next tab and it will just show me kind of what we've got here. All right. Same option is available for minors. So we can look at the minor enrollment here. We can click on there and see what majors have. So let's, that one's not going to be super surprising. Let's see what creative writing looks like. Click on a creative writing minor and we can see a pretty decent spread of majors who have that minor. Pretty cool. Same thing with tables. And we have a couple charts in here that talk about major migration, which is how students move between majors. And we can focus on that if we have some more time, but I want to make sure I get through the questions I posed. So the next question I posed was, which courses historically have been offered and what are their enrollments? So this exists in our courses and our credit hours and registrations dashboard right here. If I click on this dashboard, it will take me in. So much data, it takes so long to load. Let's go with that. So we default to showing credit hours in this dashboard, but we can also show registrations. They are kind of related to each other. You know, 3 credit hour course with 1 registration is just 3 times. So it's they're going to look the same when you change them. But if you have a specific question you're trying to answer, you may need to change between a credit hour and a registration. So you can do that up here. It defaults to showing all terms, but we can figure out if we want to show just fall and spring academic year, fall, spring, summer, winter by themselves. And you'll notice that we're only showing 24-25 here. And as we've mentioned, spring 26 hasn't made its full official snapshot yet. And so if we were to show a full year with only part of the year, it would look really strange. So what we don't allow is to see the whole year when something's not available. But since we've already had fall 25, and if we want to change the term to fall, this will unlock when you change it and you can still see what's happened in the fall. I'm going to leave it on fall right now. We're looking at fall registrations. And we asked what courses were offered. So if I go to this detail tab, we can kind of look in here and see that it's not quite set up yet to do that, but we have these table columns right here. So table column 1, column 2, column 3. Right now it's just showing lower and upper division courses. And I'm going to go to column 3 and I'm going to just change it to course. And this will show me now, if it loads, all the different courses. And Sean will fix that so it doesn't have little dots because this will just make it bigger. But basically, when we fix it, this will show all the courses that have been offered, when they were offered, and the registrations in those courses. over time. Lots of fun stuff. Let's see if this goes away if I do all terms. I think it's the extra fall column that's messing me up. Come on, Tableau. We need the Jeopardy music, Catherine. We got to get that for next year. Well, we'll let it think. I'm going to go back to here and reload it on this page. All right. So now that we've seen that, I want to talk about something we've added to this dashboard. So within the last few months, we've added SBC information onto this dashboard for public consumption. And so available on this tab here, we can go see an SBC summary. And this is kind of, it's back to credit hours because we refreshed the dashboard, but we can see the credit hours offered in different SBC areas. And what I did want to note as there's a little note up top, you can't add all these up and get to the total credits because some courses have multiple SBC categories. But if we did want to see, for example, maybe we want to go to engineering and applied sciences and see what SBC areas that their courses meet and they've been offering credit hours in, or students have been registered in. And then if we wanted to get further details on that, we could click down into here and see which course lives in here. And you'll see perfectly my example of why we can't add everything up is you'll see, for example, these classes fall in multiple categories, and we can't add those together to be they're not distinct. So this is the way the dashboard is set up. There is additional information here too. If we wanted to see SBC partials, we default those off, but there are some of those courses there if you wanted to see them. We have filters for the department down to the subject. We can look at, we can look at fall, spring, different looks here, all the kind of things you might want to look at in there. So I'm gonna then look at my question list. How long do students take to graduate? So if we want to go back to dashboards again, we're going to go into our degree completions dashboard. This function is also a new function of this dashboard. I'll talk a little bit about the dashboard itself, and then I'll go into the question. So here we have degree and certificate completions. We have it by level. We can filter in on all the colleges and schools. We can look at the disciplinary group of the program. So we could look at number of STEM degrees if we wanted to, but we could also look at all the other different disciplines. Let me put that back on. We can look at this by major all the way down. We have the same ability to look at a detailed chart with the customizable columns here. No, sorry. That's the wrong tab. No, this is diversity details and diversity trends. I did not load the custom chart on this one, but if we need it, we will put it on there. So the piece that we've added, undergrad time to degree, is just looking at undergraduates. For now, we have other ways of looking at graduate students, but we started with undergrads here. And answering that question I said is how long do students take to graduate? So there's some notes up here because there are some restrictions or data definitions that go beyond our normal degree completion data definitions. So here we're looking at students who entered as first-time, full-time students. We don't do time to degree on students entering as transfer because they enter at such different parts of their academic career. And so we try to follow the standards set by the AAU Data Exchange for which is the Association of American Universities Data Exchange. This is one of their data items that they look at. We follow their definitions, and we look at those students entering as first time. And then one note is that for an actual on-time completion, you're looking at 3.75 years because students start in August and end in May. If you get the number of 4, it's really that a student took an extra summer. And so that 3.75 is the target. And I will say, nobody really hits that in the AAU. They're close. Some of the number one for time to degree is around 3.73. So very, very, very close. So being over is not a terrible thing. It's some students do take a little bit longer to graduate, and that's okay. But we've got the information here by major. We've got it by the whole university. And you will see the other interesting thing here that you might want to check out is that to default this, we have it including just a student having 1 degree because we don't want to double count them. But if I had 2 myself, I had two majors and I wanted to see what it looked like by major, we can do this thing where we include the second majors. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn that on. And then I'm going to click on, let's just pick on health science here. And as it says click, it will change and we can see the trend over time and it's going down, which is great as degrees are going up. And the reason why I kind of give the caveat of this doesn't include everyone is you will see that this number won't match the number of degrees that were granted because this really is only looking at those students who entered as first time, full time. All right, excellent. And then the most recent dashboard we added here is our earnings dashboard, which is what do students earn when they graduate. Now, this is, as I mentioned, one of the external data sources. We get this from PSEO, or the Post-Secondary Education Outcomes. So it will include information on how much students are earning. You can choose 1 year, 5 year, 10 year. Post-graduation, you can look at the 50th, 25th, or 75th percentile. There's information at other degree levels, but it requires a certain number of graduates to meet the criteria for being able to publish these data. We get all these data from PSEO themselves, download it, ingest it, and put it together. We default to showing AAU public comparisons, Association of American Universities public, because that's kind of our where we fit as an institution. And the one thing to note in here is we will see some comparison institution. It depends on whether or not the state participates in giving data. So you won't see any California institutions in here, which will tend to have some higher salaries. But for looking at us across our own programs, it looks pretty good, and we can see it across a couple different peers. So this right now is just looking at all degree fields. If we wanted, we could filter, but I'm just going to click over to see which areas we have and what they look like. This is Stony Brook compared to Buffalo, but we could compare anybody else in this comparison set who has data. We could look at this at the 2-digit level. We could look at this at the 4-digit level to see really far down into these, what students are earning when they graduate. But that's one of the newest dashboards we have here. So that's the end of my questions that I have scripted. I want to just touch on that we do have a couple more dashboards here. We have a doctoral program dashboard. If I click on this really quickly, it can show that we have information, by program and over all of our PhD students. We've got some admissions funnels and enrollment information. We do have completion and time to degree for them over here, as well as the cohort statuses over time, so whether or not they're still enrolled. And we have some basic information about first destination. It's a little bit older, and we're working on it, but it's some information that we have over the last few years. And the last dashboard we have on here is a student charges dashboard, which is just comparative information about tuition and fees at our institution versus the rest of the public AAU. When that loads, you will see that. So you can see our tuition and fees. You can see where we are and what quartile we're in and the rank and the amount. All right. So that is the last piece of the last dashboard here. You will then see a link to Stony Brook Analytics at the bottom, which, as I mentioned, are the Tableau server dashboards. You also see the link up here. If you were to click here, you'll get information about logging in or training and who has access or can have access to this. And I'm going to hop back in. You'll also see which dashboards we do have available on the server side. I'm going to hop back into the presentation really quickly. And I just want to talk about, so if you think, so I'm really happy for folks to be able to use all these public dashboards. If you think you have a job where you do need further access, particularly administrators, staff who support those academic administrators, or if you're in an office that you need access to those data on a daily basis, you can reach out to our division and we'll discuss whether further access is appropriate. And then really what's available in those are just more information. But like I said, we try to make it that you can answer the majority of the public questions via public dashboards, and if we can help too, that's kind of the goal. I forgot to say at the beginning, but I usually say when we go through Tableau trainings, we operate under the MTA's policy of if you see something, say something. So if anything looks weird, please tell me. And so that's what we've got. I'm going to open it up for questions in the last few minutes, if there are any. Thank you, Lane. Questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry, Monsi El Shami. I'm looking at the graduation and retention rates dashboard.
Yep.
Like, is there, because I know you were mentioning a lot, it's like a first time, full time.
hmm
Um, but what other sort of, is there any way to sort of incorporate additional demographic information there? Like maybe, like, because when they're first coming in, they don't have a declared major. Is that correct?
they some do. Yeah, we have a bunch. We have a decent chunk that do, and some that are general.
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering if there's a way to sort of expand on, any of the demographic data that can appear on like the retention rates beyond
Yeah,
just like male and female and ethnicity.
yeah. So we tend to not avoid, but don't recommend looking at grad rates by major from that point of the student's entry, only because they can change a lot. So
Hmm.
we have more than half of our students change their major at least once. And so it's not 100% indicative of what's going on, and we
That makes
don't
sense.
want to necessarily conflate those. But there are other ways in the division that we have looked at it, where we've done some analyses where we look at what it looks like from the junior year, so by the point
Yeah.
where they've had to declare, and not public yet, but under consideration. But there are some things. I'll take a look, because that's one of those that if you'll see, that one only has two tabs and it looks
Yeah,
very
like I was
old.
looking at
It's
it.
one of the older ones, and so as we've been enhancing, I'll take a look at that one and see if there's anything we can publish publicly.
Okay.
Thank you for your feedback.
Sean, could I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Um, you talked about graduate salaries, earnings, but
Mhm.
how do you get that? Where do you get that data from?
So I'll show you. It's the post. Let's PSEO. So it's post-secondary education. Sorry, post-secondary employment outcomes. It is public, run through census. So it's available here. And we just download, export, figure out who's in what institutional group. So, who's in the AAU, who's whatever, and we group it and we publish it.
Oh, thank you.
There's
That's
there's
great.
also there's also information in College Scorecard. This is just the one that we decided that we were working with this time. So we do ingest the College Scorecard information as well, and I think we have a server side dashboard for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. It has lots of caveats, right? So it's collecting national data is challenging, but it's a good way to at least look at ourselves.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I didn't know
Awesome.
that, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Can I ask a quick question, Sean?
Sure, go for it.
So sometimes I would get questions from um, department directors, and they want to know, like a while ago, I forwarded you one question from this director, right, about first generation STEM major,
Yeah,
students, head count for that. So there's a lot of that subgroup, like intersectional subgroups data, I guess, like people are looking for, like women in STEM, uh,
yep,
right? And then what's the percentage of them, like who are, first generation STEM majors? So for those kind of really detailed data, do we reach out to you for
yep.
okay,
Yeah,
directly?
so
Yeah.
you can reach out to either institutional research, which would be through Rob Miller, or myself, and we can route you to the right place. As time goes along and those questions become more common and we think of ways to integrate them publicly, we can. And if we can't, we'll provide the data for you, or if you have the appropriate access into our tools, we'll make sure we get you to the right place.
Perfect. Thank you. And do you feel like now with AI, is it possible in the near future, there's just one box, we just type a question in there and then it would answer, what's the percentage of first generation STEM majors in women in STEM, for example, at Stony Brook?
I think there's a possibility where AI will give you an answer, but based on what
Okay.
Braden talked about on Monday, because we have definitions, I'm not sure it will be the answer you're looking for. So I think we always want to make sure we're having conversations with folks about what they're looking for and what
Mm.
they actually need. So that's the
The
it's
context.
AI is powerful, but the context is super important.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see a question in the chat. Do I have anything in data wish list? Um, we have a lot of fun stuff coming up. I could do a whole session on that, but as we're at time, um, yeah, Josh, too many to name at this point, but happy to chat with you at some point. We're at time, so thank you very much, Christina. We have reminders for the end. I think her mic's not working again, but I'll hop in. Please fill out the survey. Thank you for coming, and we'll hope to see you on Friday, guys.
Thanks, Sean.